I'm Lucy, I'm an artist and I'm dyslexic. I have a few different jobs, part-time jobs. I am a freelance designer and illustrator, and I work part-time in community arts. So in my community arts job, so I work for Impact Arts, which is a community arts charity, and I'm generally a creative assistant on projects. So I'll kind of assist. So we sometimes work with young people. I've also worked on projects with older people, so at a craft cafe for people over 65, and I'll assist on whatever creative project we're doing at that point. So that'll change from day to day. So it's very varied, and we'll put on exhibitions or we'll engage in other community projects around. So just kind of working with a lot of different people, kind of chatting, getting to know them, and then helping them make some kind of artwork. And then when I'm doing my freelance design work, I'll get a brief from a client usually, and then there's a lot of communicating back and forths, and might be, talking to printers. So I do a lot of printed matter, kind of exhibition leaflets and posters and things. So I went to art school. So I'm from Manchester. I came to Glasgow 5 years ago now, and I studied communication design at the Glasgow School of Art. I specialised in illustration, and then I came out of that and I was lucky enough to do a residency kind of 6 months after I graduated, and I continued my work around dyslexia, and it kind of happened organically. And I never know whether I'm a designer or an artist or an illustrator or what, because I do a few different things, but yeah. My dyslexia has been, a big part of my journey in my career, both through the challenges that I have with the tasks that I sometimes struggle with and trying to overcome, to the things that I'm good at. But then also, my whole of my final year at art school, I was kind of looking at my dyslexia and what it meant and why all my friends at art school were dyslexic, and did lots of interviews. And then that continued after I graduated. So I approached Dyslexia Scotland and showed them the books I created. And then I did a residency, and I went on to create a selection of prints. So I work a lot in screen printing and risograph, and explore that. And I now sell my prints, and I've started running creative dyslexia workshops in schools. So I've been into some primary schools and community groups, and it's basically a interactive, practical way of kind of teaching people about dyslexia. So I'll do a presentation, about what, the strengths and challenges of what dyslexia can bring, and then I show them the artwork I've created, and then we do loads of fun activities and like creative tasks. And so it's been a huge part in actually, how I am in my career, but also kind of getting kind of work in a way, which happened quite organically. So the challenges I have with dyslexia in my work can be time management. So I misjudge how long a project will take me, and I'm very productive. I do a lot, but I'll be up until 2 o'clock in the morning, or I'll I get very distracted as well when I'm working on projects. So that can sometimes extend how long I take on them. I also, in a couple of the jobs I have, so my short-term memory is not great for like numbers and remembering lists. So if someone, just verbally gives me loads of tasks, I have to write them down, otherwise I won't forget them. Otherwise I will forget them. I used to swim teach, and I do swim teach now, but I used to have to do the chlorine in the pool, a chlorine test, and it was kind of like 20 steps, and you couldn't go wrong, so otherwise, it wouldn't be good. And that would really stress me out because, sometimes even following instructions can be quite hard. So the benefits of being dyslexic in my work are in the jobs I have. I'm very creative. I'm quite good at problem solving. So, if whatever it is, it doesn't have to be what you'd think it would be a creative task. But, if you're trying to figure out how to get something on time or kind of logistics, I'm usually quite good at thinking how to organise that. I think I'm quite, I work a lot with people, and I think I'm quite empathetic and quite patient with people, which I think if you're dyslexic and you've kind of struggled with things in the past, you kind of have, a great understanding than perhaps if you've kind of been swimmingly through school and education. I think the favourite thing about my job in community arts is getting to work with people and actually, seeing how community arts can be really transforming someone's life. So I worked for a year at the Craft Cafe in Govan, which is a craft cafe, but we don't actually sell cakes and things. We do have cakes, but we do lots of different arts and crafts, and it's for people over 65, and it's to prevent isolation and loneliness in older people. And I just saw through that how it really did make such a huge difference to these people's lives, whether people had lost someone close or people had illnesses, and the benefits to people's mental health through just doing arts and just coming in and kind of having a chat in a way to bring people together. It's just really great to create artwork, I suppose, when you can. So I'm fortunate to do that sometimes. The advice I'd give to my younger self, which probably would be the same now, is not to be so hard on myself, I think. But that's, easier said than done. And maybe sometimes don't work as hard. So in terms of kind of creatives, I think anyone who's, wanting or manages to make work or does a job which, can make a difference, because there's lots of kind of problems that can be solved also through designing creative things, whether it's making films or educating people about things. But then also I think, my family and my friends a lot. I think I have a lot of friends who are dyslexic. My dad's definitely dyslexic, and he has used that without realising to his benefit with his job. So the message I want to give to young dyslexic people in Scotland are to find out about your dyslexia and try and find out what it means for you, because it'll be different to your friends who are dyslexic, and then talk about it, and then also try and find out the ways that you can help yourself and how other people can help you. So then when you, go get a job or school or your friends, you can actually kind of, tell people what you need and also what you're good at as well, which is also really important. So find out what you're good at and what the challenges are you have with dyslexia. So I began my project about dyslexia in my final year at Glasgow School of Art, because I wanted to explore my own dyslexia and what that meant, but also kind of I was fascinated why so many people at art school and in the creative industry had dyslexia, but also in lots of other different kind of, there's lots of sports people and comedians, and there's lots of different areas where there's a high amount of dyslexics. So I began by interviewing initially my friends, but then I did a survey which went broader than that and tried to get people from a range of occupations. And just what started to come out of it, it was mainly storytelling, and people were, telling me hilarious stories of, words they got mixed up or, embarrassing moments they had, but also some really kind of stressful situations they had been put in, whether it was at school or at work, and also a kind of, as it went on, people definitely it was helping them, I think, and kind of sharing experiences, I think is definitely a way to learn more about how our brains work. So I did loads of interviews, and then I created a collection of books called A Different Way of Brain Processing Dyslexia. And they each kind of focus on a slightly different area, but they all overlap. So, one book's called Career Advice, is about reading and spelling. And it came from one of my friends who couldn't spell career as in a job, and she was so far off that, on Google she was typing in, jobs, career, and then jobs in South Korea were coming up, and the only way she could find out how to spell career was by going on the Waitrose website and looking at, so just all these kind of stories of how having dyslexia, can be quite stressful, but also quite comical. And then Cross Your I's and Dot Your T's was a book about getting your words mixed up, and I sometimes use a lot of idioms and phrases and things, and I always get them mixed up and don't realise, and sometimes I do, but I think the point of that book was just to be able to laugh at yourself, I think. And then one's called Drilly Drally Drady, which is about getting distracted, but also how that distractibility can sometimes be good, daydreaming and things, and, the overconnectivity that dyslexics have in their brains can actually be a really positive thing sometimes, because you'll think of some things that actually, if you're on a more linear path, you would never have come across that. So, they were the books I did. And then I created some print work. So these were made on a risograph. So I did a residency in Edinburgh, out the Blueprint, which I had a brilliant time, and I basically wanted to create the prints in a way which also reflected quite a dyslexic way of thinking. So kind of going the long way around things and kind of doing things not the ordinary way. So kind of quite simple things, but even like I made a pineapple out of like toothpicks, and it was kind of like a direct scan on the risograph bed. And let's see. So this print is called Connections, and it was just kind of like, because quite often, if you have dyslexia, your brain kind of makes weird journeys. Even in conversations, you'll jump from like kind of, people will be like, how did you get to that? And I just wanted to try and visualize some of these kind of routes and pathways, I suppose. And sometimes, and you can't remember a word, and that can be really stressful, and like you get all, but then sometimes things just like flow really well, and it's kind of, that ebbs and flows are all part of it. So that was that one. And then, I took a lot of information from the interviews I did, and this one kind of came from, so someone called a dishwasher a wishwasher, accidentally in an interview, and then I kind of, my dyslexic mind, I started drawing a washing machine, and then to create the water, I kind of spun it, and I was just kind of being creative and playful. And then I had this up in an exhibition, and it was brilliant because like everyone just saw such different things, within the images, and kind of all turned back on itself, because like, this could be like a washer, a metal washer, or, some people think it's a record player, or, a plate, knife and fork. And it was just kind of, thing when I had my exhibition about dyslexia, and people would come and just share experiences and kind of like just look at the print and kind of put their, see what they saw in it, which was often very different to each other. And then the last couple I'll show is this one was an image I called Drilly Drally Daydream, and it's kind of about being like kind of distracted and all over the place, but if you can channel that and kind of create systems which are useful and helpful, you can make it work. And then this one came from, it was actually when I was, like, my spelling's okay now, but when I was younger, I'd always, when I was writing an essay or a spelling test, I'd write two letters on top of each other, like an O and an E. I could never spell bored, and I'd always put the O's and the E's like exactly over each other. And then I kind of just did lots of collage and cut out of kind of like placing letters over each other. And this one was like, it was once O's and E's across the way from each other, but I kind of merged it. And so just kind of taking the experiences that people with dyslexia have had and just trying to visualize them in my interpretation. I think, that's what they were about. So I think the benefits of being dyslexic and studying a course in communication design is that the whole premise of the course is to kind of take an idea or something you need to communicate and distill it to its kind of core parts. And I think being dyslexic, sometimes you're quite good at being like, distilling and simplifying and not getting too lost in the details, kind of like. And Yeah, I think there's lots of different skills which a dyslexic person may have, like, good communication skills and like visualization and storytelling, which actually is illustration and is graphic design. It's all about telling the audience something quite quickly and visually, so not necessarily using many words.